deadline, either Randall or Mirotic for Draymond Green. And with Philadelphia, I mean, Saric would have to be included. Who knows how Fultz is going to turn out? He hasn't shown anything yet this season, even though it's very early of coming fulfilling his full potential. But we'll see. But you know, Saric and some fillers. I mean, they have enough young players there to make it work. And Saric is a solid player. So maybe Saric, Covington, and who knows what else.
But don't you? I mean, when you say Mirotic or Randall for it, I mean, you gotta get more than that for it.
It'll definitely be more. I'm just starting off as. I mean, I'm going with like
Mirotic has only had 30 good games. Like, that's not crowning yet.
I'm just going with the foundation here. We don't know who'll be on the roster next year. I mean, we're looking ahead almost a year and a half.
Yeah, but it's one thing to say. I mean, Draymond Green would fit well with those teams, but if those teams, obviously Philadelphia has assets to offer, but I don't think New Orleans has anything to offer. So there's really no point of discussing a trade between them because.
I mean, it could be. What if Mirotic and Randall? I mean, depending on how much money they take this offseason, you could make a package word around that. If you add in a Livingston, for example, Livingston and Green for Mirotic and Randall, or who knows? We can't say because we don't know who else is going to be there next year. But I mean, I'm just building a foundation. Yes, I'm talking about where they would fit better and throwing out players that maybe would work. But I'm looking this more from the other team's point of view, how he would fit there.
I think the one other place that I had Toronto, it would be Toronto. Just because Toronto had a few assets they could trade and they have a few contracts that they can get rid of. For instance, if they don't want, they can trade Ibaka. He can be included in the deal. Now, obviously, you don't want to trade Ibaka or Valanciunas straight up for Draymond Green. That'd be crazy. But if the assets of Anunoby and Siakam are discussed in this deal, then you would think about it. And obviously, you want. I don't think even like a trade like Ibaka and Anunoby would be enough for Golden State to move on with the deal, just because Anunoby hasn't proven us anything yet.
No, you'd have to include Siakam in there.
But if all three of those guys are involved, then maybe if I'm, Golden State, I think about it. And, a defense with Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, and the two best defenders in the league right now with Kawhi Leonard and Draymond Green would be, be very, very scary. And it doesn't necessarily take away the depth of Toronto because they still have Van Fleet, they still have CJ Miles, they still have Powell or whoever the other guys are on the team.
Yeah, they'd make it happen in the offseason too, but that's another thing. We're relying on here that Green and Leonard resign, which actually a solid possibility.
This is a deal that could be made during this year.
You mean in the offseason? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that'd be a good way.
No, even during the season, right?
This season?
Why not?
But I don't think Warriors are trading Green during this season.
Oh, no, yeah, okay. Well, we can agree there.
Yeah. I mean, in the offseason, yeah, you're right. It might be... It might get to that point where they have to trade, and I don't know. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what they decide to do. And if they do resign Durant and Thompson for max contracts, do you think they wait to trade Green or, do it right there in the offseason? Help keep that chemistry with the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that's always the smartest move, and it also depends on how much has Draymond Green shown in the finals. Let's say he plays his eyes up again in the finals. I think his value's pretty high. Then you go ahead and move him in the offseason, see what you can get, and then start the training camp with your full team. I don't like mid-year deals if you're going to be getting rid of the player anyway, unless you're trying to raise the player's value.
Yeah, but some of these teams are pretty. They not desperate. I'm trying to think of a bad word. They don't think too far ahead. They'd rather wait till the problem really arises, or kind of when they're in desperation mode to do it. So, for example, keeping Draymond Green until the trade deadline, then get desperate. When you're feeling more desperate, then trade him. But that'll be interesting. Now, let's say for some odd reason they decide to trade Klay Thompson. Same thing. They would probably re-sign him and trade him. Decide, hey, let's keep Green. What do you think would be, just real quick, a couple good fits for Klay Thompson? Besides Philly, obviously.
Besides Philly?
Yeah, because that's the obvious answer, I think. But what do you think?
I didn't really. Philly was my choice, the one I was going to go with. I think Milwaukee would be a good fit, but I don't think Milwaukee has much assets to offer. I think, I would say, I don't think I have another answer to give you right now.
Yeah, I think. Lakers. Yeah, but depending.
Lakers. Yeah, obviously, I would agree.
I think they would sign him in the offseason, if anything. I mean, I'm sure they would trade for him, but this is so hard to discuss because I think Klay Thompson's like a definite shoo-in to stay in Golden State.
And I'm in agreement with you there. I don't think Klay Thompson's going anywhere.
Yeah, so just trying to seek out something here. I mean, maybe Minnesota would be a good spot, but you're not going to trade for Andrew Wiggins with them. So who knows? I mean, that's just something to discuss. I think Boston would be a nice fit, but same thing. I mean,
but would if you're Boston, are you giving up Jaylen Brown for him?
Oh yeah, I would. I'd give up Jaylen Brown for him.
Obviously, it'd have to be Jaylen Brown and just
Jaylen Brown, at least Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, to make that work. But I'd still do that. I'd take on Klay Thompson for Brown and Smart.
Well, that's one of the things that I think Golden State kind of has to think of. Like, as they're getting older, maybe they want to stay competitive in the near future and actually trade some of these guys for some younger players. Now, obviously, you're not trading Curry, but maybe picking up a Jaylen Brown who's 8 years younger than Klay Thompson or 7 years younger than Klay Thompson. Maybe cutting your losses after this season might be the smarter play. I mean, it might not help you in the short term, but in the long term, it'll help you with staying competitive.
Yeah, and again, that's something, that's probably going to be thrown out there. Eventually, they will have to start thinking that way, and we'll see if they actually do. We'll see if any rumors do fly of them proposing any trades or considering any trades, I should say, listening to some trades. But so we'll move on to the big piece, Anthony Davis, and again, another more difficult thing to discuss here just because of how well the Pelicans have been playing. I mean, they did, I forgot who they played a couple days ago without Anthony Davis. They didn't do so well, but again, they were playing without Anthony Davis, right? So,
yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis, when I thought of this, there was only two teams that I thought of that can actually put up real good packages for him. And obviously, and I don't think it's a surprise to say that the two would be Boston and LA. I mean, but I think it's interesting to see if you're Boston or Danny Ainge, who do you think, what are you asking for? Like, or if you're the New Orleans general manager, let's just say they make the playoffs this year, but they get, beat in the first round. Let's say they play a tough round against Utah or someone, they get beat in the first round, and Anthony Davis just demands a trade, right? He pulls a Kawhi or Jimmy Butler and times to demand a trade. Who do you think, if you're Boston, are you going to give up?
And that's another more difficult situation here. And yes, I think if anyone does do that this offseason, it would be him. I think he'll be the first player to demand a trade if it gets that far, depending on how the Pelicans do. And the thing about that is, so if you're Boston, it depends here. Does Horford opt in or does Horford opt out?
We'll just say Horford opts in.
Well, if he opts in, then
I don't see him opting out.
Well, he would probably have to be included, either him or Gordon Hayward. And I think if I'm the Pelicans, I ask more for Gordon Hayward and really keep him. Maybe turn it into a three-team trade. I ask for Hayward. I ask for Tatum. I mean, it's that simple. I think it starts with Hayward and Tatum. Now, do I trade Brown, Hayward, and Tatum? No. And the reason why I say that, I think the only player I would give up Brown and Tatum for would be Antetokounmpo. But in this situation, I don't. I offer, it have to be that Kings pick, whatever that turns into. And if it's in the offseason, this will be more clear because we'll know what that Kings pick has become, how high it is, whether it gets reverted back to Philly if it's the number one pick, which obviously the odds of that happening are pretty slim. Not slim, but smaller because of the fact that the lottery odds have evened out a little bit. But so you offer the Kings pick, you offer Tatum, and you offer Horford. If I'm the Pelicans, I ask for Hayward, just because of the fact that he's younger. Again, depending on what type of season those two players have and how much better he develops. But so I would say the Kings pick, probably another first-round pick, maybe a little later, Tatum and Hayward.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Boston, if I'm honest, and Tatum's involved in this deal, I'm not making it. Now, I mean, maybe I'm doing high praise. I mean, except it's maybe straight up for Jason Tatum. But Jason Tatum is a real good player, and he's only walking in on this second year of his rookie contract, so he's going to have team control for about 7 years or 5 more years from here. and he's younger, and obviously he's not as good as Anthony Davis yet, but he has been playing really well. So I do think that you have to move on, and you have to try. I would offer anything except Jason Tatum.
I would take. I mean, and you're giving up a lot here. Maybe Horford might be the better thing to give up than Hayward, but I take that. Anthony Davis is a generational player, and I don't. We'll see what Tatum becomes, but he won't become Anthony Davis. And to be able to pair Anthony Davis up with, I mean, depending on who they trade again. If they trade Horford for him, for example, Horford, Tatum, and the Kings pick and maybe another first rounder, you still have Memphis's first round pick. You have, I mean, the Clippers' first round pick most likely gets converted to 2 second rounders, but you have that. You still have your depth. You could probably resign Rozier at this point because of the fact that you just traded away 2 players who are going to be making a lot of money in the future, and Horford and Tatum. Now you could probably keep Rozier. Obviously, you have Davis there, and I do it. I mean, for Anthony Davis, I do it. I'll do just about anything for him if I'm not beyond giving up Tatum and Brown in a deal. I would make that happen somehow. With the Lakers, yeah, I mean, the Lakers do have a lot, but I like Ingram. I like Ingram a lot, even after he goes off Floyd Mayweather on everyone. I like him. I think he'll be a real good player. Lonzo Ball hasn't shown much yet this year. I mean, he's shooting with a better percentage. I'll give him that. I like his stroke just a little better than I did last year. So we'll see how he keeps working on that. You'd have to probably give up, maybe not even Lonzo. You'd probably have to give up Kuzma, because Kuzma's been playing really well. Josh Hart's been playing really well. But if I'm New Orleans, I ask for Kuzma, Ingram, obviously probably two first rounders, and a salary filler to make that work.
I don't think that's enough. I mean, for Anthony Davis.
Well, what else do you think?
You have to include either Josh Hart or Lonzo Ball in that deal.
Yeah, that's where I kind of.
I mean, your offer compared to the Boston offer is much different here.
It is, but okay, so you're comparing. I mean, Tatum and Ingram. Yeah, Tatum probably has a little more potential, but I think Ingram has a lot of potential. Kuzma, and the thing with trading Horford is more of a salary filler because he doesn't fit New Orleans' timeline if they decide to rebuild.
Yeah, but none of the Lakers pick are going to be anything close to that Sacramento pick.
Depending on where that lands.
Okay, but even if it lands in the top 10, I mean, you're right, because that Lakers pick can also be a lottery pick the way they've been playing this year.
All right, I'm not going to laugh, so keep going.
Oh, okay. But that being said, I mean, I just don't think that, I mean, Tatum is a better player than Brandon Ingram. And I like Brandon Ingram, and I wanted Brandon Ingram to be traded for Kawhi over other players. But Jason Tatum is going to be a top 5 NBA player within 5 years, okay?
Well, that's still left to be determined.
And it is. But Brandon Ingram's going to be an all-star, and he's going to be a top 20 player, but he's not going to be as good as Jason Tatum. That's at least how I feel. And I don't think that, the deal of Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma and, let's just say 2 picks in the middle of the first round is enough for Anthony Davis. I mean, like you said, he is a generational player, and you want more than that.
So I guess, because I don't disagree with you that Boston's offer would probably be better, but that's just what Boston could offer more.
If you offer Lonzo Ball right now, let's just say that offer that you just put is on the table. You're a Lakers fan, right? You added Lonzo Ball. You don't do that deal for Anthony Davis to team up LeBron? I'm
a lot more skeptical offering Ball, Ingram, and Kuzma. I mean, you're giving up 3 young, solid players for one.
You are, but you are getting a 25-year-old who is, top 2 player in the league for the next 8 years.
And maybe, I definitely wouldn't be against it, but at this point, I think you're giving up a little too much. And obviously, it would be a similar situation to the point where, if Anthony Davis demands a trade, it's going to be a similar situation probably to the Kawhi Leonard this past year, where you're not asking for 3 young players, even though these 3 young players are a little more proven than what any packages, for example, this past season. Who was offering trades for Kawhi? It was the Lakers, but the same with similar players. However, after in a year, they'll be a year better, more proven. 1 year more